Alright everybody, how you doing tonight? My name is Remy, the newborn father. You can find my new videos of all sorts at thenewbornfather.com. You can also check out facebook.com/thenewbornfather or hit Twitter at newbornfather. No the on the Twitter, just at newbornfather. So as I said previously on my first YouTube video, there's going to be really two different types of videos that hit that channel. The first is going to be kind of live video reviews and discussions about different products I might come across as I kind of wade through this new journey of fatherhood. And the second are going to be more kind of this style where it's more of a podcast fare. And in the very near future, I actually have my first guest, I believe, set up. I will be bringing on fathers of various walks of life just to kind of share our stories about everything that kind of happens with fatherhood and just kind of, stories that happen along the way and different things that happen to us. And maybe you can empathize if you are a father, or maybe we can give you a little bit of a heads up on different things that you can expect. So for this first kind of podcast, I just want to go ahead and I want to kind of expand a little bit on my first video and bring up maybe a couple other little bit of issues that I have with the products that I did bring up, and bring up a couple other little discussion points. And you may hear some of these things come up again in the future. But also, let me make perfectly clear that I am absolutely open to comments, questions, suggestions of all sorts, and anything that you have for me, I will absolutely check out, look into, research a little bit if necessary, or if it's just straight up questions about my experiences, I'll do everything I can to share them in future iterations of this podcast or in a separate video. So, without further ado, the first product that I really wanted to talk about in my first video was, and I'm not exactly sure if I got my feelings across as much as I really wanted to, but let's see, the experience that I had with diapers that I never really figured that I would have up front. So Pampers are the diapers that hospitals by and large use, and they send you home with your child in. And it's stated in the marketing for Pampers, and you kind of take it to be truth, but at least in my circumstance with the birth of my son, I can tell you that's absolutely the truth. They put Pampers on him, we brought him home in Pampers, and I set up my wife's baby shower because, as I said in my first video, she moved out here to be with me, which is unbelievably sweet, but because she didn't know as many people other than those that she met at the job she got when she came out here, she didn't really think she would have a baby shower. So I made sure that she absolutely had one. And we had a lot of gifts from a lot of people, and it was very sweet, and we're very grateful for that. And the diapers, almost more so than anything, we were really ecstatic about, because we wanted to make sure that we had a good supply backing us up for when our son did arrive. And we got two brands. We got a couple packages of Pampers, not a lot, but a couple, and then the rest, and by and large the majority, was Huggies. What I found really interesting was when our son came home and we opened up the Pampers, on the packaging there's absolutely no kind of implication at all that they really have anything to do with Sesame Street. There's nothing on the outside of the packaging at all. From the marketing that I've seen on television, like commercials, things like that, I don't recall seeing anything about Sesame Street in conjunction with Pampers. But lo and behold, when you open up a package of Pampers, there's usually a couple different things that could potentially be on the center of the waistband on these diapers. One is the Pampers logo, which of course makes sense. But then there's also Big Bird, Elmo, or Cookie Monster. So that was kind of interesting to me. I didn't really expect it due to the marketing that I'd seen for those diapers. But then, conversely to this, are Huggies, which are, I really don't know what the number one and number two brand are, and nor do I really care. But at least in the case of Huggies, a lot of their marketing centers around their availability at Walmart and the fact that plastered on a lot of the different packages for Huggies are various Disney characters, and the two major ones that I found are either Mickey Mouse or Winnie the Pooh, and different Winnie the Pooh characters. So a lot of marketing via Walmart with Disney characters plastered on the front. So it was really kind of perplexing to me when we finished off the initial bag of Pampers that we had for our son, and we moved on to one of the packages of Huggies, and we really didn't expect any kind of quality change other than maybe just small, very minuscule differences. And we made sure that, in spite of those differences, that we put the diapers on exactly the way they were intended to be put on. And lo and behold, 1, 2, 3 strikes you're out. 3 pairs of Huggies my son pissed right out of the leg hole on. And by the third time, we really made sure, of course, without cutting off any circulation or, hurting him at all, that, we really made sure that we had these diapers on correctly, and still pissed right out the leg hole on him. And at that point, we realized that these were just shit, honestly. These were shit diapers, at least in our experience. Now, I'm sure other people out there buy Huggies regularly, routinely, and quite obviously that must be the case because they have endorsement deals with Walmart and Disney, etc., etc. But at least in our case, it was really kind of disheartening for the amount of backing that this particular disposable diaper company had, given the experience that we had, right? And obviously those of you that have kids, it's not simply just pissing out the leg hole. It's pissing out the leg hole, but usually onto you or the changing pad or the dresser table, etc., etc., etc. And we immediately, right after we put the last pair of Huggies on them, the next time we changed them, we put a pair of Pampers on them. Absolutely no problem at all. And we did find that a lot of people had this kind of issue. But what the fuck? Seriously? For a brand that's supposed to have that kind of huge backing behind it, it's very, very odd. So, in addition to this, I also brought up in the first video Boudreaux's butt paste. Now, I have to admit, for myself, when we got a couple boxes of this at the baby shower with the rest of the gifts, I was a little skeptical. And the reason for that is, if you've never seen a box of Boudreaux's butt paste, let me do the worst possible job giving you a piece of imagery so you have an idea of what's going on. So we got the squeeze tube versions rather than the kind of cup and barrel versions, and these versions are in either usually a yellow or red box, solid yellow or red, and they usually have a picture of a baby on them. And they honestly look like they came directly out of the 70s. They look like they were overstock, left over from about 1974. And they're just still pumping them through because what the fuck, we got them, so let's sell them off best we can. Because whatever, it's butt paste, it'll never go bad, right? So, we heard over and over and over and over from our friends, from family members with kids, from our parents in some circumstances, that Boudreaux's butt paste was the best butt paste. If your kid has any kind of redness or rash or anything like that, that's the way to go. You need to use it. It's fantastic. Except when we used this shit on our son, he ended up not only with additional redness and rashing, but the skin around the holiest of holies started peeling a little bit. And if you appreciate your nether regions the same exact way that I do, then you know for a fact that is the exact place you never, ever, ever, ever want to experience anything like that. So, in our experience with our son, and admittedly, he could be potentially allergic to an ingredient in Boudreaux's butt paste. It's absolutely possible, but at least in our experience, Boudreaux's butt paste had a very similar reaction to what we'd expect Reptile from Mortal Kombat having if he spit. And we used that as butt paste instead, right? And it was unbelievably frustrating, right? In the case of Huggies, I had to take probably 7 packages of Huggies that we got for our baby shower down to Walmart and exchange them. Just a huge headache. In the case of the Boudreaux's butt paste, we just tossed that shit aside because whatever, right? I understand that it's $7-8 a tube, but after my experience with all right, so I'll tell you my experience with Walmart when I traded in the diapers. So I walk up there, and I had 2 things working for me to make this a fairly smooth experience. The first one was that I happened to walk in on an unbelievably busy day. So there was about 8-9 people on either side of me. There was, I think, maybe 2 or 3 ahead of me. So I waited that out, but I knew, and I was hopeful for the fact that this could go well because they had a lot of other people to wait on, and I wouldn't have to deal with too much bullshit. At the same time, when I got up there and I started conversing with the customer service representative, I suppose if we're going to be highly formal, needlessly, about this person at Walmart, she also expressed to me that she was only able to use Pampers and some generic brand for her kids, so she was actually quite willing to give me store credit to get Pampers instead. But that perplexed me, right? No Huggies, but Pampers or store brand generics for her kid, which was very strange. At least in my mind, if Pampers worked for our son, but the number 2 brand Huggies did not, ain't no fucking way I'm trying generics. It's just not gonna happen. So I was able to change those in, but after that process, I wasn't even interested in trying to trade in the butt paste. So that's kind of a more clear, I suppose, explanation than in my first video. It's a little heated, obviously, in that first video, and the formatting of those styles of reviews is absolutely up to conjecture, and will be changing over time. But I felt, at least in the here and now, it was necessary to clarify a little bit of what I meant from there. So, a lot of people that ask me how things are going as a newborn father often ask me, how is he? How's he doing? Is everything okay? And a lot of those people are people that already have kids, right? And when they ask questions like that, I literally want to choke the fucking life directly out of them, right? Because they know exactly what it's like to have a newborn, so they know for a fact that they're being asinine. They know exactly what I'm going through, what my wife is going through right now, and they're just being shitty about it, right? Because the one thing that I found out, and it's kind of a natural thing to do as a new parent, is anytime anybody asks you, how's the baby? How's everything been? Is everything going good? You just naturally say yes to all those questions. And you realize that you're not saying yes because it's necessarily true across the board. You're just saying yes because you don't have any more energy to engage in a conversation with anyone else, right? And you just want to move away as quickly as possible. It happens constantly, right? Unfortunately, I have to work with these types of people. I'm a teacher. I teach film courses and English courses at the college level, and that means that I have to talk to my bosses constantly, and they're so asinine, especially the ones that say it's a gift from God Because I say, no, it's not a gift from God. It's a gift via the combination of my ejaculation and my wife's egg. And we poofed our son into existence. Isn't it a miracle? There are other things that you don't quite know how you're going to deal with when you have a kid. And a lot of people like to tell you once you announce that you're having your first child that, well, you can never be ready. And what I'll tell you, and this is something that I'm sure I'll repeat many times over the course of this podcast and this channel, is that you can absolutely be ready. You can be ready in terms of the time investment that you'll have to give. You can be ready in terms of the financial investment that you'll have to give. But what they're lying to you about are those nuanced moments that you can never be ready for, right? And one of those is the feeling of spit up rolling across your bare arm. All right? Parents know exactly what I'm talking about. It's totally fine. It's totally cool. It's absolutely understandable that kids spit up. Right? It happens. Their eyes are bigger than their stomach. They don't know what they're doing. They're newborns. They're jello with feet. So they just keep eating and eating and eating until the bottle's gone. And if they feel full, they won't give you shit about it. But even if they don't give you shit about it, they may have eaten too much. And in those moments, you can expect in about 15, 20 minutes that you're going to end up with spit up on your hands. Now, the best version of spit up is if it hits the burp cloth exclusively, right? It's fantastic. That's a win, and you realize that almost immediately. But guys, specifically, that are listening right now, if you have kids, I'm pretty sure you can confirm this. We have something that women don't have. Well, generally, we have something women don't have, and that's arm hair. And I have, God rest his soul, Robin Williams level arm hair. And there's nothing quite as disgusting or cringe-inducing as warm, milky spit up from a newborn running along the valleys in between the forest of what is your arm hair, right? Because you feel every twist and turn from the nape of your elbow down to the crux of your wrist, and you get a shiver from the bottom of your tailbone all the way up to the base of your neck. And you look at your kid, and your kid has shit running down his face, right? Maybe glassy-eyed a little bit. And your kid smiles. And you look at him, and all you can think is, I love you, you gross son of a bitch. So be prepared for spit up. It comes in various colors and amounts and frequencies, but I assure you it's coming, and it'll be an experience like no other. And that's just one instance of things that you'll never be quite prepared for, other than things you can absolutely be prepared for. So I may not have said it explicitly in my first video, but I'm sure I implied that my son has stomach issues. So everybody tells you that breastfeeding is the way to go, and I don't contradict that. I don't argue against it. Right? There absolutely are nutrients in breast milk that are a huge boon and benefit to newborn children. Except my wife physiologically cannot breastfeed our son. We have to give him formula. But as those of you with children, I'm sure know, formula usually comes with additional iron. And iron has a particular adverse reaction in some infants, and that is that it makes them constipated. Unfortunately, what we found with our son is it made him constipated. Absolutely. But the result of that constipation, we absolutely could not be prepared for. It was something like out of a horror movie. It was dark. It was black. It was sinewy. This kid, once he was done screaming and forcefully thrusting it out via kicks that were quite violent, we would have what equated to a overly well done cheese slider from White Castle waiting for us in his diaper. And we would have to remove the White Castle burger. And what we realized after that was that it wasn't just a White Castle slider in the diaper. It was a White Castle slider cork. It was always connected. It still is sometimes. And once we're able to uncork that slider, then the real games begin. Then it's peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly time. Peanut butter jelly. Peanut butter jelly. Alright? As soon as we get the slider out, this kid is shitting for the next 10, 15 minutes. Easily. I got burned 3 times when I uncorked the slider and didn't have the new diaper under him in time. Or, better yet, could have been cognizant of what could have been coming and just left the original diaper under his ass. And the free flow of what is considered normal infant shit came all over the changing pad cover. Again, 3 times, and I absolutely am sure this will happen again. So naturally, as a newborn father, I began to worry about what was going on with my son. And my wife absolutely showed the same concern. So we called his pediatrician. And his pediatrician said, okay, that's fine. I know exactly what you need to do. You need to go down to the store and you need to buy yourself some Karo syrup. And you need to add about a tablespoon of Karo syrup to 8 ounces of water. And no sooner than 30 minutes after he eats, you give him an ounce of the Karo syrup. And if you do that for a while, it'll help make your son regular. So I hung up with the on-call pediatrician at 3:45 in the morning, wondering where the fuck I was going to find Karo syrup at 3:45 in the morning on a Sunday. And I said, I may not agree with their overtime policies, but Sky Genie bless Walmart in this moment. So I took my heavy-eyed ass down to Walmart and I stood for 20 minutes in front of the maple syrup, desperately trying to locate Karo syrup. And what I finally realized is is that Karo syrup is not in with the maple syrup, which after the fact, when I was able to get some sleep, made sense, because I would never put Karo syrup on my pancakes. So I find the Karo syrup in the baking aisle, which makes much more sense. Karo syrup is corn syrup, and corn syrup often goes good with things like frosting and cakes. But then I have another dilemma. As I'm standing there, I realize that the pediatrician told me that I needed to buy some Karo syrup, and I needed to put a tablespoon in 8 ounces of water. And I became infuriated as I stood in front of the Karo syrup, because I realized that motherfucker never told me if I needed light or dark. So at 4:15 on a Sunday morning, I'm standing in the baking aisle of a Walmart with my phone desperately inches from my face, looking at message boards in various forums to find out whether I needed light or dark Karo syrup. Luckily, message boards in this one instance didn't steer me wrong and told me I needed the dark, and it helped a little. We continued to have problems with our son in terms of his bowel movements. The Karo syrup helped a bit, started getting him a little more regular, but we still had to wrestle with his screaming over his White Castle slider initial dookies. So at our next visit in-house with the pediatrician, we expressed our worry. The pediatrician said, "It's okay. What I want you to do is I want you to go to the store and I want you to get gripe water." And we did, for $8 for a very small bottle, roughly half the size of the Robitussin you may or may not be getting high with right now. And we took the grape water home, and we realized that the plunger that came with it needed to be filled to capacity according to our child's age and weight, effectively meaning that we would need to immediately buy stock in gripe water. I checked my bank account, and we still do not own any shares currently. But we give him gripe water. And what I can tell you is this: in concert with the Karo syrup, we are beginning to get him regular, and the gripe water soothes him. So I became interested, because I have tummy troubles now and then, and I wanted to know what this magical serum was. So I look at the ingredients and I give it a little sniff, and I realize that it smells like flat ginger ale. And I said, shit, if all I needed to do was buy this kid a 2-liter of Schweppes and leave it open with the cap off overnight on the counter, I could have had this kid all fixed up for $2 rather than $8. One last thing I wanted to go over tonight is the comedic moment in many movies when a stumbling, bumbling father usually is changing a son or a nephew or a friend's kid, and they catch piss in the face. This is not a comedic moment. This shit happens, I think. And I say I think because I only have one particular moment with which I can draw experience of, and this happened 2 days ago. My wife tells me, I think he needs to be changed. So I said, okay, I'm on it, babe. And I bring my son upstairs. I take his diaper off. And in the same way as that first White Castle slider shit, I completely neglected to slide a new diaper underneath him, as well as neglecting to consider using a PPTP. If you don't know what a PPTP is, I'm sure I'll review it at some point. In the meantime, you can look it up. They're pretty ridiculous, but they absolutely serve a function. On this one particular occasion, I took his diaper off, and I'm wrapping his diaper up, and I'm getting ready to shove it in the diaper genie. And as I do, I hear my son fart, which is not atypical. But then I hear him coo, but it sounds like a coo that's mixed with formula. So I turn in order to grab a burp cloth and wipe his face off and make sure that he's okay, because that's what fathers do. But as I turned, what I realized was he was a mess, and the changing pad was a mess. It was covered in urine. And I turned at the exact right moment to witness my son pissing in a golden arch that can only be mimicked by those of McDonald's directly into his own face. And as my wife and I had a look both of shock and instinctual laughter on our face, we caught the first natural smile out of our son, which worries me for his future. I want to thank you for joining me tonight. These podcasts will be short form in this manner because I don't want to inundate listeners with too many topics at once. When I have guests, they may be a little bit longer because, of course, I have stories, my guests will have stories, we'll be bouncing them off of each other. But again, I appreciate you listening in. Again, my name is Remy. I am the newborn father. You can see all of my videos at thenewbornfather.com. You can check me out on Facebook at facebook.com/thenewbornfather. Or please, by all means, tweet me on Twitter, where I am at newbornfather. Again, there's no the on Twitter. It's just at newbornfather. All right, everybody. Take care. Enjoy your own ridiculous memory building with your infants, should you have them, your toddlers, your little people, your young men and women / teenagers. I wish you well. If you're on the fence, or if this is something that could potentially happen in your future, or if you want it to eventually happen in your future, please, by all means, keep tuning in, and hopefully I'll be able to share with you my perspectives on these particular subjects. Again, if you have any comments, questions, suggestions, anything of the like, please include them as a comment for this video, or again at facebook.com/newbornfather, or on Twitter at newbornfather, and I'll do everything I can to respond to those in upcoming videos. All right, everybody. Take care. Safe journey. Care. Safe journey. Care. Safe journey. Care. Safe journey. Care.